Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull. Really sad day. Just it's hard to even quantify it, man. Jordan Seaton commits to the University of Colorado and Coach Prom. I don't think too many people saw this one coming, man. Whole lot of thoughts. Golly, it's hard to put it into words. This was one that I felt very, very good about Tennessee's chances in. And, you have to wonder what the heck happened. I think that it probably came down to money. Obviously, Colorado is not a good football team. All right, they don't have a bright future, it doesn't seem like. I mean, they would have to just have so many more players. Obviously, their front seven on both sides is something that they had to get fixed. You're seeing a lot of players transferring out of Colorado too. Man, part of me feels like this one's not completely over, okay? Jordan Seaton, from everything that I've been hearing, is a guy that, likes to kind of, likes all the glitz and glamour, things like that. So maybe, he kind of did this for the shock value. I don't know. Maybe there's still an opportunity because signing day, I think that the early signing period or the early signing day is coming up here at some point this month. I think Tennessee might try to continue to talk to him. If I was the coaching staff, I most definitely would. Maybe he flips, maybe we can still get him at some point. I would say that would probably be one of the lights at the end of the tunnel. I'll also say this, all right? We do have some good offensive linemen in this 2024 class, all right? So Bennett Warren, for sure, he's a guy. I mean, there's several others, but Bennett Warren is one for sure that, I feel like he could definitely come in and be a good piece. Now, something that this staff has to do is develop young talent, okay? Talk about this all the time. We cannot live in that transfer portal. There's already some good players on this football team, at least that I liked coming out of high school. And, we have not developed them, I don't feel, in the way that we kind of need to. Now, obviously, whenever Coach Heupel and this staff came in 2-3 years ago, we had to be heavy in that transfer portal, okay? Like, we had to kind of have, a plan where we are going to try to get as many veterans on this roster as possible because we had lost so many players. And, I really kind of feel like this would be the last season where we should have to be so heavy in that transfer portal. But, like I said, we've got to try to develop young talent a lot more. I know that was one of the things that Jordan Seaton was looking at in a school was early playing time. Now, John Campbell did come back, or he is coming back, which I think is great for this football team. Maybe that kind of scared Jordan Seaton away. I don't know. If it did, that's not the kind of a player that you want on your team necessarily. You want a guy that is confident enough in how he plays and what he brings to the field that he feels like he can beat out anybody. At the same time, we know that these kids these days are very, very different. We know that college football is very different. Football in general, it's all different. So, number one thing, like I said several times, we have got to develop these young players. We've got to find a way to rotate our young players a lot more than what we have been doing. So, hopefully the staff sees that, and that's something that they will work on this season. And, we've got to kind of start to push some of the people who just, we don't feel like it's either going to cut it or, there's just not enough room for them. So outside of that, okay, you look at a guy like Coach Prom, Deion Sanders. I mean, he is a guy that we knew it as soon as he got the head coaching job at a Power 5, D1 football program. We knew that he was going to be able to go into people's living rooms and, get their kids. Now, the thing is, Colorado, again, still has not won a whole lot of games, so he's not able to go in and take everybody. But if they start to win, he can probably hand select the players that he wants because that's Deion. That was a lot of our heroes growing up, and really now at this point, some of these guys, that was their parents' heroes growing up. So parents are going to absolutely love him. He's going to say all the right things. Obviously, it's just hard not to love Coach Prom. I'm not here to boost up Coach Prom, but I'm just kind of throwing some things out there as to why I think Jordan Seaton picked Colorado. Next thing that I would definitely look at is the fact that this had to have been some sort of a NIL deal situation where, I mean, Jordan, he's got to be making a lot of money because he turned down every single powerhouse football program in this entire country to go to Colorado. We already kind of talked about some of the reasons, but that money factor, that had to be a big part of it, okay? And that brings me back to a couple of other things that we've talked about on this channel. And I said it's concerning, okay? It's getting to the point now that I'm starting to get a little bit concerned because talk about a guy like Juice Wells, who, if you follow this football team, you know that we need a dynamic playmaker on the outside. And, I'm hearing a guy like Austin Price, who is definitely in the know, saying that that's probably going to be a long shot, saying the same thing about, Walter Nolan because of the NIL deal. So it's concerning to me because I felt like Tennessee was a program that had some really deep pockets. So, whenever the whole NIL thing started, I said, oh, this is going to benefit Tennessee heavily. I'm looking, I'm saying, okay, so Tennessee, Texas A&M, those types of schools will be more dominant moving forward because we've got the deepest pockets. Now, we all know about the Haslams, okay? And, they're billionaires. Some people don't like them, and I'm not up to speed on what happened with the Haslams and what happened with Tennessee. But whatever happened, that's got to be water under the bridge. People are going to have to start swallowing their pride, all right, and at least sit down at a table with whoever in the Haslams family and say, hey, listen, we want for y'all to continue to support this football program and this school. And, I think that it was a deal where maybe they were being too involved in the on the field stuff and just kind of tell them, hey, we'll kind of hear you, set up something like a board meeting or something, and, maybe give them a little bit of extra power on that board, so that they feel good about it. But I think that you kind of have to go behind the scenes and talk to everybody else on the board and say, hey, look, this is what we've got to do. So we have got to make sure that we outvote them, but we've got to at least make them feel comfortable enough to, bring those dollars back to this program because it's going to be so important moving forward. Situations like this, okay, situations like what I just said about the guys in the transfer portal, that if they're asking for too much money, all of a sudden, oh, well, they're off the table. I mean, this is Tennessee, okay? Whether you like it or not, all right, this is what college football is now. We are pretty much bidding for these players. You can say whatever you want about Jeremy Pruitt, okay? But, I mean, that's something that's kind of been going on, right? Like, that's been an under-the-table type of a deal where players have been getting paid for a long time. And listen, some of y'all don't know this, but we got the bag man on this staff, okay? Rodney Garner, he's been notorious for paying players, all right? I don't care if you like it or not, okay? I honestly don't. Right now, today, we just lost a player that I feel like, we definitely could have used. I wouldn't go as far as to necessarily say that we needed him, but he would have definitely improved our roster tremendously because, again, I think that we've got some good players in that 2024 class. We are going to have to get out of the mindset of this is too much money for this player. We've got to stop doing that. All right. And I'm not saying that that's 100% of the reason that Jordan Seaton is going to Colorado, but I promise you that is a big part of it. You don't just go to a losing program if you want to go pro, okay, if they're not going to be paying you a bunch of money. All right. So our competition in this was Colorado, Alabama, Oregon, and the Buckeyes. We all know that, Ryan Day was like, oh, well, we're not going to overpay for players. Once he said that, I said, look, y'all's time to be dominant is coming to an end. Said the same thing about Dabo Swinney over there at Clemson. If you're not willing to pay those players, you're going to lose. Now, Oregon's been paying well, okay? So I don't know if maybe whatever Jordan Seaton got from Colorado was probably astronomical. But if we want to win championships, we're going to start to have to, donate that astronomical money to this program. And listen, guys, I know that it's not my money, okay? I'm not the one spending it, but I'm talking to those of you who rub elbows or are part of the crew that does have the resources to, either go out and fundraise, or, you can actually donate some of your own money, whatever. If you really love this program, we've got to get a whole lot more money in. And we've heard a lot of college coaches throughout the season pretty much begging their fan base for some more money. Also talked about this, earlier, right? That the president of the NCAA has come out and proposed a new rule that will pretty much create some super conferences amongst the wealthiest programs in this country. Part of the stipulations is you've got to meet, a certain threshold of, payments, to the athletes at your school. But on the other side of that, you can pretty much make your own damn rules. What does that mean? It means that the teams and the programs that've got those deep pockets and people who are willing to spend that money are going to be extremely dominant. Some of the things that you can do is control how many scholarships your team has. Okay, you can control how much you're paying the players directly from the institution, directly from the school. So the whole mindset of, we don't really want to pay these guys that much, or it's too much money. If we don't get out of that mindset, 10-2, that could be our ceiling. All right, so we have got to start to change that, that whole narrative. And we've got to start collecting a whole bunch more money, because stuff like this should not happen. Not to us, not to Tennessee. It should never happen. There's no way that Colorado has deeper pockets than we do. All right, now we do have a whole lot of other needs that, we kind of need to tend to. Obviously, some of y'all may not have heard, but Justin Joly or Jolly is pretty much out. Okay. He's not going to be visiting Tennessee. I think part of the reason is he was too light to play tight end, which I kind of felt that way. Looking at him on film, if you go back to the UConn breakdown, I kind of talked about it. I said, he's like a wide receiver playing tight end. I was kind of confused as to why we were really targeting him. I mean, I saw a little bit of physicality on his film, but I said, he's probably not going to be big enough to do that in the SEC. And it sounds like that's what the reasoning is. So hopefully we can kind of close. We've got to close on at least one of these tight ends in the transfer portal. And, I think that we would be best suited to try to go out and get two. But, again, man, like when you talk about some of these other just studs that this roster could most definitely use, I mean, for us to just be completely out of the picture because we don't have the funds, that to me is inexcusable. And, again, I'm going to take it back to what I said to start this video off. The staff has got to do a much better job of putting players out there, in the underclass ranks. We have got to get people out on the football field. And, it may be kind of like a come to Jesus moment for Coach Heupel. Okay. And I think that he's had that several times throughout the season. I've kind of seen a look on his face sometimes where, maybe you've got to throw some wrinkles in your scheme. All right. Because it's not just about that front seven, which obviously that's going to be number one. We see that the defense is doing a great job of rotating their front seven players, but it's also about the secondary on defense. It's also about the skill guys on offense. Get people in the game. You've got to start doing a much better job of that. And we've got to do a much better job of closing in general. It's just been too many people, the tight end from Utah, Roger Saliapaga, we end up losing him to Oregon. I'm sure that had to be a, bidding war. That's probably what it was. Again, I know the Oregon is paying people. We've seen the Oregon's roster has improved tremendously since NIL started, and they are a lot more relevant. I guess than they probably had been right before that. So I don't know, man. I don't want to leave this on a bad note. Like something else that I said to start this thing off. Tennessee does have some good offensive linemen already on campus. All right. And we've got some good ones coming into this class as well. And we have just got to work with what we have. We've got to do a much better job of making these players disciplined. Okay. And if you got to hire some more coaches to kind of echo the sentiments of, the other coaches, right, with some of these players that may not be getting as many reps, then do that, coach. Okay. Do something, but these guys have got to get brought up to speed. And I think that as we continue or, as we kind of start to win more, then, maybe we can get some more money from some of these big time, donors and things like that. And then, it'll be a little bit of an easier sell if maybe we come in, a shade under a team like Colorado, because most of these guys are going to look at the football value, probably more so than the instant value of, maybe some of the cachet that you get from going to a school like Colorado with a coach like Coach Prime. And something else too, while I'm talking about this, because this is something I had kind of thought of, right? With Boo Carter, we know that he went up to visit Colorado several times. And one of the times, it sounds like he went up to try to go and get Jordan Seaton to come and visit Tennessee. And obviously he kind of had like that cryptic post. I think it was either on IG or on Twitter. I don't know. But basically talking to Jordan Seaton, I think it was maybe yesterday or 2 days ago, saying that, that we're locked in. I'm going to tell you this. I didn't say this on air. But believe me when I tell you, whenever I saw that, they gave me some concern, because I felt like that meant that Jordan Seaton wasn't coming. Because he was like, to me, it sounded like he was kind of saying like, that we still boys, even though you just told me that you're not coming to Tennessee. That's the way that I had initially took that. And I still kind of feel that same way. I think that Boo Carter is 100% locked in with Tennessee. I think that he's a guy that, as much as he, likes to be on camera, and, as much as he's got one of those personalities, kind of like a Hollywood personality, I think that he loves Tennessee. And I think that he is a dog, and he understands the football aspect of this whole thing. And it's not just about making money, because Boo Carter's going to make money regardless. Again, he's got that type of personality. He's a guy he's very, very marketable. Okay. And he's going to be fine. So I think that he's more so looking at, hey, Tennessee is his dream school, and he wants to help the Vols get back to prominence and dominance. And, I think that that's why you see him trying to bring some other people home with him. So for those of you that's worrying about Boo Carter, I just would not worry about him. He's a Hollywood personality, but at the end of the day, he's a football guy. And he wants to play for Tennessee. So I don't think that we're going to lose him. We have to finish strong, though, in this portal. Like I said, we need some more pieces. And hopefully we can close this weekend. The tight end from Notre Dame, Holden Stays, that would be a huge pickup. I think that there's some other tight ends in the transfer portal that have kind of, their names have started to pop up. Those guys, to me, if you look at their size, their build, their game, it fits more of what we need to do. So the whole Justin Jolie thing, I don't think that that's a huge loss. So, hopefully that kind of leaves y'all on a positive note. I most definitely think that, again, we've got a good class in 2024. I feel like we're going to address the needs of this team in the transfer portal. I think that Boo Carter's staying. And I think that we're going to be just fine moving forward. We just, again, I just want to finish on this. Okay. I want to make sure I touch on this one more time. We've got to find a way to get some more money to pay these players. Okay. Or we're going to be going through this over and over and over again. We've got to pay them. Okay. Until we start to win championships, several of them, we're not just going to be able to go in and get whoever. We're going to have to pay some of these guys and convince them to come. And then, let their work kind of convince some of these other younger guys to see, hey, that 5-star went there at whatever spot, okay? Offense, defense, special teams, or a 4-star, 3-star, doesn't matter. But this person went and they had success at Tennessee. Their life is better because of the University of Tennessee. And then we won't have to, I don't feel like, put up as much money. But anyway, man, I know this is a tough day. It's been a whole lot of bad news after bad news, but hopefully this weekend we'll get some great news. So thank y'all as always for tuning in. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.